In the middle of a busy bank lobby, Marcus Wellington decided to burn $2.3 million in front of its owner. Your kind doesn't deserve real money, boy. This fake garbage gets burned. Marcus Wellington's silver lighter ignites. The $2.3 million business check erupts in flames. He holds it high, letting everyone see the destruction, then drops the burning paper at David Williams's feet. David, 45 and dressed in faded jeans with a gray hoodie, doesn't flinch. The check burns between his white sneakers. Wellington grinds his Italian leather heel into the ashes, twisting slowly while maintaining eye contact. "Look at that," Wellington announces to the growing crowd. Problem solved. 3 customers film. A blonde woman live streams, whispering commentary. The security guard approaches, hands on his radio. "Sir, you need to leave," the guard says. Now, David's expression remains stone calm. His hand moves toward his jacket pocket, pauses, then drops. The digital clock reads 2:48 p.m., 12 minutes until his board meeting. Have you ever been judged so completely that someone literally burned your worth in front of you? 2:48 p.m. The humiliation deepens. "Everyone, look at this masterpiece," Wellington announces, pointing at the smoldering ashes on the marble floor. "Did you see how I handled that fake check? Burned it right in front of him. Problem solved." David stands motionless as burned fragments stick to his sneakers. The acrid smell of charred paper fills the air. Thin wisps of smoke still rise from the blackened remains scattered across the pristine marble. "Marcus, maybe we should," starts Megan Hayes, the assistant manager, eyeing the growing crowd nervously. "Quiet, Megan." Wellington's eyes gleam with satisfaction. "Sir, what's your real name? And don't give me some fake identity to match that worthless check I just incinerated for everyone to witness." The live-streaming woman angles her phone toward the ashes, then back to David's face. Her viewer count climbs steadily. 47, 156, 312. 478 people watching in real time. Comments flood the screen. "Oh my God, he burned it. Savage manager. Number bank check is trending." Wellington kicks at the ash pile with his Italian leather shoe, scattering the remains further. "You walk into my bank wearing clothes from Goodwill with a fake check bigger than most people's annual salaries. Thought you could fool us? Watch this again." He grinds his heel into the remaining fragments, pulverizing them into powder. The elderly white customer in her Chanel suit applauds softly from her position near the investment desk. "Bravo, Marcus," she calls out, loud enough for everyone to hear. "That's exactly how you handle their kind. Burn first, ask questions later." Other customers begin clustering around, drawn by the spectacle and the smell of burned paper. A businessman in a Brooks Brothers suit nods approvingly. "Should have done that from the moment he walked in," he mutters. David's Platinum Amex Black card peeks from his leather wallet as he reaches slowly for his identification. Wellington spots the movement and snatches the wallet before David can react, holding it triumphantly above his head. Well, well, well. Stolen credit cards too? Wellington waves the wallet like a trophy. "Ladies and gentlemen, we've got ourselves a complete criminal package here. Fake checks, stolen cards, probably fake ID coming next." The security guard speaks urgently into his radio. "Yeah, we definitely need backup. Fraud suspect with destroyed evidence and possible stolen property." David finally speaks, his voice maintaining an unnaturally calm tone that contrasts sharply with the chaos around him. "Mr. Wellington, I'd like my wallet back, please. When the police arrive, you can explain to them where you really got it." Wellington pockets the wallet with theatrical flourish. "Along with how you managed to forge that check, I just had to destroy for evidence preservation." A teenager with purple hair films frantically from the ATM line, already uploading to TikTok with the caption, "Bank manager burns fake check. Fire beats fraud. Manager is savage. Bank burns check justice." The digital wall clock reads 2:52 p.m. David glances at it and, for the first time, observers notice the slightest crack in his composed facade. "Oh, running late for your next scam?" Wellington gestures dramatically at the ash pile. "Don't worry, you won't be going anywhere soon. See that pile of ashes on my floor? That's what happens to fraud in Marcus Wellington's bank." David's phone buzzes repeatedly in his pocket. Important calls he's ignoring. The sound draws Wellington's attention. "Turn that off," Wellington snaps. "Your accomplices can wait." The live stream viewer count hits 650. Comments explode across social media platforms. He literally torched it. Boss move of the century. Ashes to ashes, fraud to fraud. The video is being shared across Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram simultaneously. Wellington basks in his viral moment, straightening his silk tie and smoothing his hair. This is exactly why we maintain strict security protocols. People like this individual think they can waltz in here with fake paper and fool hard-working, honest Americans. Megan Hayes shifts uncomfortably behind the counter, continually glancing between the ash pile and David's eerily calm expression. The Chanel customer continues nodding approvingly, whispering to her companion about finally seeing some backbone in customer service. A heavyset businessman near the window mutters loudly, "Should have called the cops first, but burning it definitely sends the right message." To his kind. 3 more customers join the growing circle. Phones out, recording everything. The bank's normal Tuesday afternoon business has ground to a complete halt. David's eyes drift momentarily to a first-class boarding pass protruding slightly from his jacket pocket. Chicago to Tokyo, departing tomorrow morning. The detail goes unnoticed by Wellington, who's too busy performing for his audience. "Sir, please move to the seating area and wait for the authorities," the lead security guard instructs, gesturing toward the leather chairs near the window. "Actually," David says quietly, his gaze lingering on the burned remains of his check, "I believe there's been a significant misunderstanding here." Wellington throws his head back and laughs loudly, ensuring everyone hears. "The only misunderstanding is you thinking that a pathetic fake check would work in my establishment." 2:55 p.m. Wellington turns to address his growing audience of customers and online viewers. "This, ladies and gentlemen, is what happens when we stay vigilant and protect our community. Burn the fraud, protect the innocent, and never let criminals think they can outsmart honest bankers." The crowd murmurs strong approval. Multiple phones continue recording both the ash pile and David's remarkably composed reaction. David allows the security guards to guide him toward the seating area, but something subtle shifts in his expression. He looks down at the burned, scattered remains of his check, then directly at Wellington, almost like he's genuinely amused by something only he understands. He checks his expensive Swiss watch, a detail that Wellington and his audience still haven't noticed among all the excitement. Exactly 5 minutes until his board meeting begins. 2:55 p.m. The crowd grows hungry. "Megan, get over here immediately," Wellington commands, his voice echoing across the marble lobby with theatrical authority. "You need to witness how real fraud prevention works in the field." Assistant manager Megan Hayes approaches reluctantly, her designer heels clicking rhythmically against the pristine floor where David's burned check fragments still scatter like black confetti across the expensive marble. She stares down at the ash pile, then shifts her gaze to David's unnaturally calm face, something nagging at her professional instincts. "Take detailed notes for your training file," Wellington continues pompously, pointing dramatically at the charred remains. "This is absolutely textbook criminal behavior. Fake check, stolen wallet, probably counterfeit identification documents. Next, I burned the primary evidence before he could destroy it himself or pass it to an accomplice." The livestream audience has exploded exponentially to over 1,200 viewers, with the numbers climbing by the second. Comments stream faster than human eyes can process. This is absolutely wild. "Manager is a complete legend. Black dude got totally owned. Someone call the FBI immediately. This is better than Netflix." The blonde woman filming adjusts her angle expertly to capture both David's remarkably composed face and the dramatic ash pile simultaneously. A second security guard arrives at the scene, breathing heavily from his rushed response across the building. "What's the exact situation here, Tom?" he asks his colleague. "Major fraud attempt in progress." The first guard responds authoritatively, nodding toward David. The manager successfully burned the counterfeit check. Suspects also carrying multiple stolen credit cards. Wellington's chest swells visibly with pride and self-satisfaction. "That's absolutely correct, officer. See those ashes scattered across my floor? That was a $2.3 million fraudulent check. Can you even begin to believe the sheer audacity?" 3 teenagers near the overpriced coffee station abandon their $5 lattes entirely to film the unfolding spectacle with their phones. One immediately uploads to Instagram stories with multiple fire emojis. Bank manager literally burns scammer's check in real time. Savage manager, number bank burns check, number instant justice, number viral. David sits calmly in the leather chair as instructed, but his posture remains strangely relaxed and confident rather than defeated. His expensive Swiss watch catches the overhead fluorescent light as he checks the time with practiced ease. 2:57 p.m. Exactly 3 minutes remaining. You seem remarkably calm for someone who just got caught red-handed, Wellington observes with predatory satisfaction, circling David slowly like a shark sensing blood in the water. Most criminals panic completely when their elaborate scam falls apart spectacularly. Do they really? David responds quietly, his deep voice maintaining an eerily calm tone as his eyes follow Wellington's theatrical movement. Oh, look everyone, he actually speaks, Wellington announces triumphantly to his growing audience of customers and online viewers. Ladies and gentlemen, the sophisticated criminal has something intelligent to say. Please, by all means, enlighten us all with your creative excuses and fabricated stories. The elderly Chanel customer moves closer to the action, her equally well-dressed companion following obediently behind. I've never witnessed anything quite like this in 40 years of banking, she whispers, loudly enough for everyone nearby to hear clearly, burning the fraudulent evidence right there on the floor. Absolutely brilliant strategy. A balding businessman in an expensive three-piece suit joins the growing circle of spectators. You should seriously run for mayor, Marcus. This entire city desperately needs more people with your kind of backbone and decisive action. Wellington preens visibly under the mounting attention and praise, adjusting his silk tie again and smoothing his perfectly styled hair. Just performing my civic duty to protect honest, hard-working citizens. Can't allow these criminal elements to think they can waltz into respectable financial establishments. David's phone buzzes insistently in his pocket. He glances discreetly at the illuminated screen. Urgent. Emergency board meeting starting now. Where are you? Turn that device off immediately, Wellington snaps with growing irritation. Your partner in crime can wait indefinitely for your coordination call. Actually, David says calmly, rising slowly from his seated position, I really do need to take this particular call. It's quite important. Both security guards step forward immediately, hands instinctively moving toward their equipment. Sit back down right now, sir, the first guard orders firmly. You're not going anywhere until police officers arrive to process you. The live stream viewer count hits 1,500 and continues climbing rapidly. The woman filming provides enthusiastic live commentary. Oh my God, everyone, he's actually trying to leave. The scammer is attempting to escape before the cops arrive. Wellington throws his head back and laughs harshly, gesturing dramatically at the burned remains scattered across his floor. Look carefully at that pathetic pile of ashes on my pristine marble floor. That pile of carbon was your big meal ticket, wasn't it? Your elaborate payday scheme. Now it's absolutely nothing but carbon particles and public humiliation. Megan Hayes shifts uncomfortably behind the customer service counter, her professional instincts screaming that something doesn't add up correctly. Marcus, maybe we should take a moment to verify certain details before. Verify exactly what? Wellington cuts her off dismissively. The counterfeit check is completely destroyed. The stolen wallet is properly secured. Case definitively closed. A new arrival enters the bank's main entrance. An impeccably dressed woman in an expensive business suit carrying a leather briefcase. She pauses immediately, noticing the unusual crowd and the distinct smell of burned paper lingering in the air. Excuse me, what exactly happened here? She asks a nearby customer with genuine concern. The manager caught a professional scammer completely red-handed, the businessman explains excitedly, clearly enjoying his role as narrator. Burned his obviously fake check right in front of everyone. The whole thing's going viral across social media platforms. The woman's eyes widen dramatically as she spots David sitting calmly in the chair, completely surrounded by security personnel and an increasingly hostile crowd. She immediately reaches for her expensive phone. Wellington notices her filming and addresses her directly with theatrical flair. Ma'am, you're witnessing genuine justice in action today. This individual brazenly attempted to defraud our respected institution with an obviously counterfeit financial instrument. $2.3 million, the Chanel customer adds helpfully, her voice dripping with indignation. Can you possibly imagine such nerve? The absolute audacity of these people. A group of college students enters, immediately drawn to the commotion and the smell of burned paper. They start filming with multiple devices, uploading content to TikTok, Snapchat, and Instagram simultaneously. David checks his watch again with deliberate precision. 2:58 p.m. His facial expression shifts almost imperceptibly, like someone making a critical decision that will change everything. The live stream comments become increasingly hostile and racially charged. Lock his criminal ass up. Typical scammer behavior. Should have called the cops immediately. At least the fake check got torched. Justice served live on television. This is what we need more of. Wellington basks completely in the viral attention, his voice growing progressively louder and more theatrical with each passing moment. This is exactly what happens when hardworking, honest Americans finally stand up decisively to fraud and criminal behavior. We don't negotiate with criminals. We don't enable their destructive behavior. We destroy their tools and expose their elaborate lies for everyone to witness. The crowd murmurs strong approval, creating an echo chamber of validation. Multiple phones continue recording from various angles, capturing David's remarkable composure against the dramatic backdrop of burned paper fragments and mounting public accusations. Megan notices something increasingly odd. David's clothes might appear casual at first glance, but his shoes are clearly expensive, Italian leather. His watch, too, appears to be genuine Swiss craftsmanship, and the confident way he carries himself doesn't match Wellington's criminal narrative at all. "Marcus," she whispers urgently, tugging at his sleeve. "Something doesn't seem right about this entire situation." "Megan, not now." Wellington waves her off dismissively, too intoxicated by his moment of viral fame and public adoration to listen to rational concerns. David's phone buzzes one final time with obvious urgency. He looks carefully at the screen, then at Wellington's smug face, then down at the scattered ashes of what was once his check. For the first time since entering the bank, David Williams allows himself to smile genuinely. 2:59 p.m. "Mr. Wellington," David says clearly, his voice cutting effortlessly through the noise of the excited crowd. "I believe it's time we had a proper, professional conversation." Wellington laughs dismissively, spreading his arms wide to address his captivated audience. "Oh, now he wants to negotiate? Sorry, friend, but talking time ended permanently when you attempted to pass that obviously counterfeit check in my establishment." David reaches slowly and deliberately into his jacket pocket. Both security guards tense immediately, hands moving instinctively toward their protective equipment. "Move very carefully now," the first guard warns seriously. David's smile widens slightly with genuine amusement. The expensive first-class boarding pass is visible for just a moment before his hand moves past it purposefully to retrieve something else entirely. Exactly 1 minute until his emergency board meeting begins. 1 minute until Marcus Wellington's comfortable world changes forever. 3 p.m. The world shifts. David Williams pulls out a simple white business card and places it gently on the marble counter, directly beside the scattered ashes of his burned check. The card lands with barely a whisper, but the impact will be seismic. The security guard leans forward to read it. His face goes completely white within seconds. David Williams, Chairman and CEO, Williams Capital Group. The livestream woman zooms in frantically with her phone camera, her hands visibly shaking with excitement. Comments explode across the screen as thousands of viewers simultaneously read the card. "Wait, what? Is this actually real? CEO plot twist incoming. This can't be happening." Wellington laughs dismissively, still desperately performing for his audience despite growing unease. "Oh, please. Anyone can print fake business cards at Kinko's for $5. What's next in your bag of tricks? A fake passport? Counterfeit driver's license to match your stolen credit cards?" David reaches into his jacket pocket again, this time producing a sleek, expensive tablet. With practiced ease and obvious familiarity, he opens the First National Bank mobile application and navigates confidently to a section most customers never see or even know exists, the board member portal. His fingers move across the touchscreen with the practiced confidence of someone who uses this system daily. The login page appears in crisp corporate blue, corporate board access, authorized personnel only, restricted access. David enters his credentials without hesitation, muscle memory guiding his movements. The screen refreshes smoothly, revealing his detailed profile in crisp, undeniable corporate formatting. David Williams, principal shareholder, 73% ownership stake, Williams Capital Group Holdings. Position, chairman of the board of directors, board member since January 2018. Next scheduled meeting, Tuesday, 3 p.m., emergency session, customer service review. Security clearance, level 10 full executive access. The security guard's radio slips from his suddenly nerveless hand. clattering loudly against the marble floor directly next to the burned check fragments. The sound echoes through the now silent lobby like a gunshot. Megan Hayes gasps audibly, her perfectly manicured hand flying to cover her mouth in shock. "Oh my God! Marcus, do you see what that says? Do you understand what this means? That's obviously sophisticated fake software." Wellington interrupts desperately, but his voice has lost all its confident edge and theatrical flair. Sweat beads are forming on his forehead despite the bank's air conditioning. Anyone with basic computer skills can create fake screens on a tablet. This is just another elaborate layer of his sophisticated con game. David turns the tablet screen toward the growing crowd with deliberate slowness, ensuring everyone can see clearly. The live stream camera captures every pixel in crystal clear high definition. The woman filming provides breathless real-time commentary. "Guys, this screen says he owns 73% of the entire bank. Is this actually real? Someone please tell me this is really happening." The viewer count explodes exponentially past 2,000 as the video gets shared frantically across multiple social media platforms simultaneously. Comments stream like digital wildfire, moving too fast for human comprehension. "Holy, he actually owns the bank. Manager is so completely fired. This is the best plot twist in internet history. Wellington is absolutely dead. Someone screen record this now." A well-dressed woman near the investment desk pulls out her phone and starts a second live stream to her own followers. A college student begins uploading clips to TikTok with captions like "Bank owner gets disrespected" and "Plot twist of the century." David's voice cuts through the mounting chaos with supernatural calm and authority. "Mr. Wellington, would you like to know exactly what that check you burned so dramatically for your audience actually contained?" Wellington's face begins showing the first visible cracks of genuine uncertainty, but his ego and public humiliation force him to double down desperately. "I don't care what elaborate lies you've printed on fake documents or programmed into stolen tablets. That check was obviously counterfeit, and I destroyed it properly to protect my honest customers from. It was my quarterly dividend payment," David states with matter-of-fact precision, "from this bank. To me, as the majority shareholder and owner." The silence that follows is absolutely deafening. Even the air conditioning seems to pause. David swipes expertly to another screen on his tablet, revealing detailed financial records with official bank letterhead and security watermarks. Williams Capital Group quarterly dividend, Q4 2025, $2,347,000. Authorized by Board Resolution 847B. Approved by Corporate Treasury. Issued Tuesday, October 17th. He looks down thoughtfully at the burned fragments scattered across the expensive marble floor, then back at Wellington with an expression of almost scholarly curiosity. "You just burned $2,347,000 of my personal money, Mr. Wellington, on camera, in front of multiple witnesses, with thousands watching online." Wellington's face has progressed rapidly from confused to pale to an alarming shade of green. The Italian leather wallet containing David's identification and credit cards suddenly feels like it weighs 1,000 pounds in his jacket pocket. His mouth opens and closes repeatedly without producing sound. That can't possibly be," Wellington finally stammers, his theatrical confidence evaporating like smoke in the wind. David opens yet another application on his tablet with practiced familiarity, the bank's internal personnel directory. He navigates through the system with the obvious ease of someone who's used these tools countless times before, someone with unlimited access. "Marcus Wellington," David reads aloud from the detailed employee screen. "Branch manager, downtown Chicago location. Employee ID, 4,847. Annual salary, $127,000. Hired, the 15th of March, 2019. Performance rating, satisfactory. Direct supervisor, Regional Manager Jessica Chen. Emergency contact, Linda Wellington. Spouse." He looks up from the tablet, directly into Wellington's increasingly panicked eyes. "You've been working for me for exactly 6 years and 7 months, Marcus." The elderly Chanel customer, who had been so vocally supportive and encouraging just minutes before, begins backing away slowly toward the exit. The businessman who enthusiastically suggested Wellington run for mayor stares in growing horror, his face reflecting the dawning realization of what he's witnessed. The 3 teenagers who had been filming excitedly now stand frozen, their phones still recording, but their expressions shifted from entertainment to shock. One whispers to her friend, "Did we just watch someone burn their boss's money?" The livestream audience has exploded past 3,500 viewers, with the number climbing every second. The comments section has become completely unreadable due to the speed of responses. Fire emojis, shocked face emojis, and endless variations of "oh my god" and "this is insane" fill the screen continuously. Megan Hayes finds her voice first, speaking in a rush. "Mr. Williams, I am so incredibly, deeply sorry about this entire situation. We had absolutely no idea who you were, and this should never have happened." "Of course you didn't know," David responds with gentle understanding. "How could you possibly know? I dress casually when I visit branches. I don't announce my position or wave my credentials around. I come in like any other customer because I genuinely believe every single customer deserves respect, regardless of their appearance, clothing, or account balance." He stands slowly, tablet still in hand, and surveys the crowd of customers who had been so eager to watch his public humiliation just minutes before. Many are now studying their shoes intently or suddenly finding their phones extremely interesting. "But here's what troubles me most deeply," David continues, his voice remaining unnaturally calm despite the enormous magnitude of what just happened. "This incident wasn't really about a check amount, or banking procedures, or security protocols. This was fundamentally about assumptions, about immediate judgment, about who you thought deserved basic human respect, and who didn't." Wellington seems to physically shrink before everyone's eyes, his expensive suit suddenly looking several sizes too large for his diminishing frame. "Sir, if I had known who you were," Wellington begins desperately. "That's exactly the problem," David interrupts quietly but firmly. "If you had known who I was, what about who I am, as a human being? What about treating every customer with dignity, regardless of who they might be or what they might own?" The burned check ashes seem to mock Wellington from the marble floor. A $2.3 million mistake that will haunt him forever. David checks his expensive watch one final time. 2 p.m. "I'm now 2 minutes late for my emergency board meeting, which was originally called specifically to discuss customer service standards at this branch location." He looks directly at Wellington with an expression that manages to be simultaneously disappointed and decisively final. "I wonder what we'll be discussing now." 3 p.m. The reckoning begins. David Williams opens a new application on his tablet with the deliberate precision of someone accessing tools he knows intimately. The corporate financial dashboard loads instantly, displaying real-time data that makes Wellington's remaining color drain completely from his face like water from a broken dam. "Let me share some concrete numbers with you, Marcus," David says, his voice maintaining that unsettling calm that somehow makes his words more terrifying than shouting. First National Bank generated exactly $847 million in total revenue last year. My investment group, Williams Capital, contributed $623 million of that through our majority stake and associated business relationships. The live stream audience, now approaching 4,000 viewers and climbing steadily, watches in stunned silence as David swipes methodically through detailed financial reports with corporate logos and official watermarks. Comments flood the screen faster than moderators can process. He's got the actual numbers. This is better than any movie I've ever seen. Wellington is getting absolutely destroyed with data, CEO using spreadsheets as weapons. Megan Hayes stands completely frozen behind the customer service counter, realizing she's witnessing corporate history unfold in real time before her eyes. The burned check fragments scattered at her feet represent more than just destroyed paper. They're physical evidence of a catastrophic mistake that will reshape everything about how this bank operates. This specific downtown branch, David continues calmly, consulting his tablet with the ease of someone who reviews these numbers regularly, processes approximately $45 million in monthly transactions. That's $540 million annually flowing through this location. Your personal annual salary, Marcus, comes to exactly $127,000, money that ultimately derives from the profits generated by my substantial investment in this institution. Wellington's mouth works soundlessly, opening and closing like a fish desperately gasping for air. The Italian leather wallet in his jacket pocket, David's wallet, that he stole in front of witnesses, feels heavier and more incriminating with each passing second. David swipes expertly to another screen, revealing the comprehensive corporate governance documents with official legal letterhead. I want everyone in this room, and watching online, to understand the precise legal framework we are operating under here. Section 4.2 of our Employee Handbook explicitly states that discrimination by bank personnel violates both federal law and corporate policy. He reads directly from the tablet in a clear, authoritative voice. Any employee found guilty of discriminatory behavior toward customers based on race, gender, appearance, or perceived economic status faces immediate disciplinary action up to and including termination, with cause and forfeiture of benefits. The elderly Chanel customer, who had enthusiastically applauded Wellington's discriminatory actions just minutes earlier, begins edging nervously toward the main exit. Other customers follow her lead like a retreating army, suddenly remembering urgent appointments elsewhere or pressing business that requires their immediate attention. Clause 7.8 amperes grants board members, specifically me, as chairman, the unilateral authority to suspend personnel immediately, pending full investigation and disciplinary proceedings. David's finger traces the specific text on his screen. Article 12 requires that all recorded incidents of discrimination become permanent, irrevocable parts of employee records, reportable to state and federal banking authorities and discoverable in background checks. Wellington finally finds his voice, though it emerges as a pathetic croak. "Mr. Williams, please. I had no idea who you were. I never meant. But here's the most legally significant part, Marcus." David interrupts with gentle but devastating precision. "The willful destruction of financial instruments, specifically burning a legitimate bank check in front of witnesses, constitutes a federal crime under Section 1341 of the U.S. Criminal Code, mail fraud and destruction of financial documents. The penalties include fines up to $1 million and imprisonment up to 20 years. The live stream viewer count explodes past 5,000 as people share the video frantically across every available social platform. Number Bankburn's check is trending nationwide, alongside number Carmesriel, number Justice Reserved, and number Williams vs. Wellington. News outlets are beginning to pick up the story in real time. David stands slowly from his chair, tablet firmly in hand, and walks deliberately toward Wellington with measured steps. Each footfall echoes against the marble lobby like a countdown to final judgment. The distance between them closes with inexorable certainty. "So, let me present your available options with complete clarity, Mr. Wellington." David's voice carries the unmistakable weight of absolute corporate authority. Option 1. You immediately issue a comprehensive public apology to every person in this room and to the thousands watching online via live stream. You publicly acknowledge your discriminatory behavior, submit willingly to mandatory sensitivity training, accept a formal written reprimand in your permanent file, and continue your employment under strict probationary status. Wellington nods frantically, visible relief flooding his pale features like sunrise after a nightmare. However, David continues with devastating calm, and Wellington's face immediately falls again. "Given the severity of your actions and the serious federal implications, Option 1 also requires you to accept immediate demotion from branch manager to assistant manager, with a corresponding 40% salary reduction. You will personally reimburse the bank $50,000 for the cost of replacing the destroyed check and processing this incident. And you will perform 200 hours of unpaid community service at financial literacy centers in underserved communities." The crowd murmurs among themselves as they process the harsh but fair terms. Megan Hayes discreetly pulls out her phone, apparently taking detailed notes or recording everything for official documentation purposes. Option 2, David's voice hardens almost imperceptibly, like steel wrapped in silk, is immediate termination for cause, complete forfeiture of all pension benefits under the discrimination and property destruction clauses, and formal referral to federal authorities for criminal prosecution. Given that your discriminatory actions were recorded by multiple witnesses and broadcast live to thousands of viewers, the evidence against you is overwhelming and irrefutable. Wellington's knees visibly shake beneath his expensive trousers. The stolen wallet in his pocket seems to burn against his chest like a brand. Furthermore, David continues relentlessly, consulting another screen on his tablet. Termination for cause would include immediate notification to the National Banking Association's disciplinary board, effectively ending your career in financial services permanently. The viral nature of this incident ensures that your name will be associated with this discriminatory behavior indefinitely, following you to any future employer. David opens another application on his tablet, the bank's internal human resources communication system. "I can send termination papers to HR right now, Marcus. Your access to all computer systems would be revoked within 5 minutes. Security would escort you from the building immediately, and your personal items would be boxed and mailed to your home address within 48 hours. The live stream audience watches in absolute fascination as David demonstrates the swift, decisive power of actual corporate consequences. Comments stream continuously. This is what real accountability looks like. Give him option 2. Make him pay for what he did. Justice in real time. But there's a third consideration that weighs heavily on my mind, David adds thoughtfully, looking down at the scattered ashes of his destroyed check. The $2.347 million you burned represents not just my personal money, but funds that could have funded financial literacy programs, small business loans for minority entrepreneurs, educational scholarships for disadvantaged students, and community development projects. Your prejudice didn't just hurt me personally, it damaged the entire community this bank exists to serve. Wellington's face crumples visibly, the full weight of his actions finally penetrating his consciousness. Sir, please. I have a family to support, a mortgage payment, children in college. I can't lose everything over one terrible mistake. One mistake? David's voice sharpens noticeably for the first time, cutting through the air like a blade. Marcus, you didn't accidentally burn my check. You didn't mistakenly treat me with disrespect. You made deliberate, calculated choices based on the color of my skin and your prejudiced assumptions about my worth as a human being. He gestures directly toward the live stream camera, where thousands continue watching this unprecedented confrontation. And you performed your discrimination proudly, theatrically, for a live audience. You wanted witnesses to your bigotry. You actively sought validation for your prejudice. Well, congratulations. You got exactly what you wanted. The security guards stand motionless and confused, uncertain whether they should still be treating David as a suspect or Wellington as the primary problem. The burned check fragments scattered between them tell the complete story of this power reversal. I need your final decision right now, Marcus, David states with firm finality. Public apology, community service, demotion, financial reimbursement, and probation. Or immediate termination, criminal referral, and complete career destruction. You have exactly 60 seconds to choose your future. David raises his tablet meaningfully, his finger hovering directly over what appears to be official termination paperwork. The wall clock reads 3:07 p.m. with mechanical precision. Choose very wisely, David advises quietly, his voice carrying the weight of absolute certainty, because unlike the careless assumptions you made about me, this decision will define exactly who you actually are as a person. Wellington stares down at the ashes of the check he burned so proudly, finally understanding that his moment of prejudiced pride and public performance has cost him everything, unless he swallows that pride completely and begs for mercy. The 60-second countdown begins with devastating precision. 3:08 p.m. The choice and its consequences. Wellington's legs buckle slightly as the 60-second countdown reaches 30. The weight of thousands watching online, the burned check ashes at his feet, and David's unwavering stare combined into a crushing realization of his complete vulnerability. I choose option 1. Wellington whispers hoarsely, his voice barely audible above the hum of air conditioning. I apologize. Completely. To everyone. David lowers his tablet but doesn't put it away. Louder, Marcus. The people filming need to hear you clearly, and face the cameras, not me. Wellington turns toward the live stream, his face pale and drawn. The woman filming adjusts her angle to capture his humiliation in high definition. Over 6,000 people now watch in real time. I, Marcus Wellington, sincerely apologize to Mr. David Williams for my discriminatory behavior, he begins, his voice cracking with emotion. I made racist assumptions based on his appearance. I destroyed his personal property. I treated him with disrespect and prejudice that has no place in banking or society. The live stream comments explode. Too little, too late. At least he's admitting it. This is painful to watch. Good. Make him suffer. Continue, David instructs quietly. Wellington's hands shake visibly. I apologize to every customer who witnessed my behavior and to everyone watching online. My actions were wrong, illegal, and inexcusable. I accept full responsibility and will work to become a better person. Megan Hayes begins typing rapidly on her computer, documenting everything for corporate records. The remaining customers watch in fascination as a man's career transforms before their eyes. David opens his tablet again, navigating to what appears to be an employee disciplinary form. Megan, please prepare Marcus's new employment contract. reflecting his demotion to assistant manager and salary reduction. HR will need documentation within the hour. Yes, Mr. Williams. Megan responds immediately, her professional demeanor now fully aligned with David's authority. David swipes to another screen showing the bank's policy manual. Effective immediately, this branch will implement new customer service protocols. Megan, I want you to take detailed notes for corporate distribution. The live stream audience watches as David begins reshaping the bank's operations in real time. Comments shift from mockery to genuine interest. He's actually making changes. This is how you fix systemic problems. Smart CEO moves. First, the Dignity First protocol, David announces, consulting his tablet. Every customer receives identical service regardless of appearance, clothing, or perceived economic status. Staff members must greet customers within 30 seconds and maintain professional courtesy throughout all interactions. Wellington stands motionless, still processing his dramatic fall from manager to assistant manager. The wallet in his pocket, David's wallet, remains a burning reminder of his compounding mistakes. Second, we're implementing the Respect Monitor system, David continues. All customer interactions will be recorded and analyzed monthly by an independent third-party civil rights organization. Any patterns of bias or discrimination will trigger immediate investigation and corrective action. Megan types furiously, capturing every detail. Should I schedule the technology installation, Mr. Williams? Yes, and make it priority 1. I want cameras operational within 48 hours. David swipes to another screen. Third, mandatory quarterly training for all staff. Unconscious bias recognition, cultural sensitivity, and professional customer service standards. The elderly Chanel customer who had started to leave pauses near the door to listen. Her earlier enthusiasm for Wellington's discrimination has transformed into uncomfortable silence. These workshops will include guest speakers from affected communities, David continues. Staff performance reviews will now include specific metrics for equitable customer treatment. Raises and promotions will depend partially on these scores. David walks slowly toward the scattered ashes of his burned check, his expensive shoes crunching slightly on the fragments. Fourth, we're establishing anonymous customer feedback systems. Physical kiosks in every branch, plus a dedicated hotline with direct access to my office. Wellington watches helplessly as his former authority crumbles into systematic accountability. The live stream viewer count approaches 7,000 as news outlets begin picking up the story. Fifth, David's voice carries increasing conviction. Monthly community advisory meetings. Representatives from local organizations will meet with branch management to discuss service quality and address concerns before they escalate. He kneels down and carefully gathers some of the burned check fragments into his hand. Megan, I want these ashes preserved as evidence for the incident report. Also, we'll be creating a memorial display in the lobby. A memorial, sir? Megan asks, confused. David stands, ashes in his palm like dark snow. A framed reminder titled, The Cost of Assumptions. These ashes will serve as a permanent reminder that prejudice destroys more than just paper. It destroys trust, community, and human dignity. The live stream comments become increasingly supportive. Turn trash into treasure, teaching moment for everyone. This guy is brilliant, real leadership. Wellington finally finds the courage to speak. Mr. Williams, I still have your wallet. I'm sorry I took it. David extends his free hand. Thank you for returning it, Marcus. Wellington retrieves the leather wallet from his jacket and places it carefully in David's hand. The symbolic transfer of power completes his transformation from aggressor to subordinate. Now, about your community service, David continues, consulting his tablet again. You'll be working at the Southside Financial Literacy Center every Saturday for the next 2 years. You'll help families understand banking, credit, and financial planning. Yes, sir, Wellington responds meekly. Specifically, you'll be working with families who look exactly like me, David adds with quiet emphasis. Families who have experienced discrimination in financial services. You'll learn their stories, understand their struggles, and hopefully develop the empathy you clearly lack. The weight of this assignment settles over Wellington like a heavy blanket. 2 years of facing the people he's prejudiced against, learning their humanity, confronting his biases weekly. Your first training session is this Saturday at 9 a.m., David states firmly. Mrs. Johnson, the center director, is expecting you. She's a 6-7-year-old African-American grandmother who's been fighting financial discrimination for 40 years. I suggest you listen carefully to everything she teaches you. Megan finishes typing and looks up. Mr. Williams, should I notify corporate headquarters about these policy changes? Already done, David replies, showing his tablet screen. I sent the implementation order 20 minutes ago. Every First National branch will adopt these standards within 90 days. The live stream audience realizes they've witnessed more than just individual justice. They've seen systemic change born from one man's prejudice and another man's response. Comments reflect this understanding. This is how you fix racism. From burned check to burned bias. Policy change in real time. David looks around the lobby, taking in the faces of customers, staff, and security who have witnessed this transformation. Ladies and gentlemen, what happened here today wasn't just about me or Marcus. It was about the assumptions we make, the respect we deny, and the changes we can create when we choose justice over revenge. He holds up the ashes of his burned check. These ashes represent $2.3 million, but more importantly, they represent the cost of prejudice. Tomorrow, they'll represent the foundation of something better. The clock on the wall reads 3:15 p.m. In 28 minutes, David has transformed humiliation into education, discrimination into policy reform, and personal pain into systemic healing. Wellington stands quietly, processing the magnitude of his fall and the unexpected mercy of his punishment. His career lies in ashes, like the check he burned. But unlike the check, his career might still be salvageable through genuine change. Any questions about your new responsibilities, Marcus? David asks. Wellington shakes his head slowly. No, sir. Thank you for giving me a second chance. David nods once, then turns toward the exit. Don't thank me yet. Thank me in 2 years, when you've learned to see people as human beings instead of assumptions. 6 months. Later, the transformation. The memorial display sits prominently in the First National lobby, drawing visitors from across the country. Behind protective glass, the preserved ashes of David Williams's burned check rest on velvet, accompanied by a brass plaque reading, "The Cost of Assumptions." In memory of prejudice destroyed by dignity, Marcus Wellington arrives early for his Saturday morning shift at the Southside Financial Literacy Center, as he has every week for 26 consecutive weeks. The man who once burned a check in arrogant discrimination now carries educational materials for families he previously viewed with suspicion. Morning, Mrs. Johnson. Wellington greets the center director warmly, his voice carrying none of its former condescension. Good morning, Marcus. The 6-7-year-old grandmother responds with a knowing smile. The Rodriguez family is waiting for you in room 3. Their small business loan was denied yesterday. They need help understanding why. Wellington nods and walks toward the conference room, passing walls covered with thank you letters from families he's helped navigate the banking system. His transformation didn't happen overnight. It required confronting his biases, one conversation at a time. The ripple effect spreads. The viral video of David Williams's response to discrimination has reached 15 million views across all platforms. Number Bankburn's check became more than a hashtag. It became a movement examining assumptions and privilege in everyday interactions. Dr. Emily Vance, a sociology professor at Northwestern University, incorporated the incident into her curriculum on systemic racism. This case study demonstrates how individual prejudice becomes institutional discrimination, and how leadership can create immediate systemic change, she explains to her graduate students. The footage has been translated into 12 languages and used in corporate training programs worldwide. Companies across industries adopted variations of David's Dignity First protocol, recognizing that respect isn't optional, it's essential for business success. Corporate revolution. Williams Capital Group's approach to discrimination has become the gold standard for financial institutions. The independent monitoring system identified and addressed 47 incidents of bias across their network in the first quarter alone, preventing escalation through early intervention. We've seen a 34% increase in minority customer satisfaction, reports Jessica Chen, the regional manager who now oversees sensitivity training implementation. More importantly, we've seen a cultural shift. Employees actively watch for bias and correct it immediately. The quarterly training programs evolved beyond mere compliance into genuine education. Guest speakers share personal stories of discrimination, creating emotional connections that policy manuals never achieve. Performance reviews now include customer feedback scores specifically related to respectful treatment. First National Bank's stock price increased 12% in 6 months, driven partially by positive publicity, but primarily by an expanded customer base and improved community relationships. Other banks began adopting similar policies, creating industry-wide transformation. Wellington's journey. The man who once stood triumphantly over burning ashes now sits humbly across from Maria Rodriguez, explaining loan requirements with patience and empathy. The bank denied your application because of the debt-to-income ratio, Wellington explains gently. But there are steps we can take to improve your position. Let's create a plan. Maria's eyes fill with gratitude. You're the first bank person who actually listened to our situation instead of just saying no. Wellington feels the familiar weight of his past behavior. Every grateful family reminds him of the people he dismissed, the dreams he crushed through assumptions. His 200 hours of community service became 400, then 600. The requirement ended, but the learning continues. I was wrong about many things, Wellington admits during his monthly check-in with David Williams. I thought success meant excluding people. I learned it means including them. David nods thoughtfully. That's wisdom that can't be taught in training manuals. It has to be earned through genuine relationships. The memorial's message. Visitors to the First National Lobby often pause at the memorial display, reading the accompanying explanation of events. Children ask parents about the ashes behind glass. Adults share stories of their own experiences with discrimination. The display includes a QR code linking to the full video and a comprehensive resource page about unconscious bias. Educational materials explain how assumptions become actions, and actions become systems of exclusion. Those ashes represent more than money, David reflects during a recorded interview that accompanies the display. They represent every time someone's worth was judged by their appearance, every time potential was dismissed by prejudice, every opportunity destroyed by assumptions. The memorial has inspired similar displays in corporations, universities, and community centers nationwide. The phrase "the cost of assumptions" appears on everything from coffee mugs to conference room posters, serving as daily reminders to examine our biases. Systemic change across industries. The Williams standards, as they became known, spread far beyond banking. Retail stores, healthcare facilities, government offices, and educational institutions adopted similar protocols. The combination of real-time monitoring, regular training, and community accountability created measurable improvements in customer service across demographics. A study by the National Bureau of Economic Research found that businesses implementing Williams-style protocols experienced average increases of 23% in minority customer satisfaction and 18% in overall customer retention. The business case for dignity became undeniable. Technology companies developed sophisticated bias detection software based on David's monitoring systems. Artificial intelligence now helps identify patterns of discriminatory behavior that human oversight might miss. The personal legacy. David Williams doesn't consider himself the hero of the story. I simply refuse to let prejudice stand unchallenged, he explains during university speaking engagements. The real heroes are people like Marcus, who chose to grow instead of retreat. His quarterly dividend checks still arrive at the same downtown branch, but now they're processed with the respect every customer deserves. David often visits unannounced, observing interactions and ensuring standards remain high. The first-class boarding pass to Tokyo that Wellington never noticed led to a business expansion that created 200 jobs in underserved communities. David's calm response to discrimination created opportunities that his anger never could have achieved. The call to action. The lesson of the burned check extends beyond corporate policies and training programs. It challenges every individual to examine their assumptions, question their biases, and choose dignity over discrimination. The valuable lesson here is that our assumptions, driven by prejudice, can have devastating and public consequences. But true leadership and strength aren't about revenge. They're about using a moment of humiliation to build a better, more equitable system for everyone. Your voice matters. Your story counts. Every time you witness unfairness and choose to speak up, you create change. Every time you treat someone with dignity when others show disrespect, you build bridges. The movement continues through individual actions. Social media fills with stories of people choosing inclusion over exclusion, understanding over assumption, growth over grudges. Fireproof Worth becomes a rallying cry for protecting human dignity. Your role in this story. The burned check incident proves that change doesn't require violence, wealth, or political power. It requires the courage to stand for principles, the wisdom to choose education over retaliation, and the commitment to creating systems that protect everyone's dignity. Have you witnessed discrimination that seemed small but felt enormous? Share your experience in the comments below. Every story shared helps others recognize these moments and respond with David's combination of strength and grace. Subscribe to our channel for more real-world examples of quiet strength overcoming loud prejudice. Hit the notification bell because transformation happens when we pay attention to each other's humanity. Share this video if you believe in the power of dignity over destruction, education over retaliation, and building systems that protect rather than destroy. Use number Fireproofworth to share your own stories of overcoming discrimination through intelligence, persistence, and unwavering dignity. Remember, they can burn your check, but they cannot burn your worth. And when you own the power to create change, you get to decide how justice looks. The ashes in that memorial display aren't just remnants of prejudice, they're fertilizer for growth. From destruction comes creation. From humiliation comes education. From individual pain comes systemic healing. That's how you turn a burned check into a burned bridge to discrimination. Back off. Nobody. This table's for real people, not street trash. Chad snatched Marcus's reservation paper and ripped it in half. The pieces fluttered to the floor. Tiffany ground her stiletto heel into the fragments, twisting until the ink smeared across the marble. Oops, did I break your little fantasy? She sneered into her phone camera. Maybe try McDonald's next time. Marcus Washington watched the destruction. He was 45 years old, wearing a simple black sweater and worn jeans, nothing that screamed money. Meridian's Friday night crowd turned to stare. Crystal glasses paused mid-sip. Designer purses opened for phones. The couple sprawled across the corner, VIP booth like conquering royalty. Floor-to-ceiling windows framed Chicago's skyline behind them. Chad draped his arm possessively over the leather banquette. They owned this moment. He was just entertainment. Marcus stepped forward, his voice steady. I have a confirmed reservation for this table. VIP table 7, 9 p.m. Chad snorted. Dude, we asked the hostess. She said this spot was free. He gestured lazily at Chloe, who appeared beside their booth like a protective shield. I'm terribly sorry, sir, Chloe said, not sounding sorry at all. These guests were seated first. Our policy is very clear. About your policy. Marcus pulled out his phone, showing the reservation email time-stamped 2 weeks ago. Confirmation number VIPMW 0847. This shows I booked table 7 specifically. Tiffany held up her phone, live streaming to her followers. The viewer count climbed 1,847, 2,391. Oh my God, you guys. This random guy is trying to steal our table at this fancy place. The drama is unreal. Comments flooded the screen. Security! Some people have zero class. Sir, this is a Wendy's energy. Chad leaned back, spreading his arms wider across the booth. Look, buddy, possession is 9/10 of the law. We're comfortable here. You can wait for another table like everyone else. There is no other VIP table, Marcus said quietly. This is the one I reserved. Chloe stepped closer, blocking Marcus's view of the booth. Sir, I understand your frustration, but these guests have already ordered appetizers. Perhaps I could seat you at table 12? It has a lovely view of the kitchen. The insult landed perfectly. Table 12 was where they seated complaints and walk-ins. Tiffany's followers caught every word. Did she just offer him the reject table? Tiffany whispered loudly into her phone. I'm literally dying. This is better than reality TV. Marcus checked his watch. 8:50, 2 p.m. His reservation time had passed 3 minutes ago. Around the dining room, other guests abandoned their conversations. Phones emerged from Hermes bags and Armani jacket pockets. The Friday night crowd sensed blood in the water. A silver-haired woman at table 3 leaned toward her companion. Some people simply don't understand their place. Her dining partner nodded knowingly. The staff should handle this before it becomes embarrassing. Marcus reached into his jacket pocket, his fingers brushing against cool metal, a black American Express Centurion card. The weight of it was substantial and familiar. Most people would never see one in person. The spending requirement was $350,000 annually just to qualify. He left it hidden. Instead, he pulled out a leather portfolio, soft cognac-colored calfskin, unmarked except for small gold initials. MW. Inside, Documents weighted contracts, acquisition papers, board resolutions. Chad noticed the portfolio and laughed. What's that supposed to be? Your lawsuit papers? Good luck suing a place like this, pal. Tiffany zoomed her camera in. He's pulling out some random folder like it's going to change anything. Sir, this isn't Judge Judy. Her viewer count hit 3,847. The comments turned cruel. Imagine being this delusional. Someone call security before this gets weird. Main character syndrome much? Chloe gestured toward the restaurant's entrance. Sir, I think it would be best if I'd like to speak with the general manager, Marcus interrupted. I'll get him, Chloe said, relief evident. Let Robert handle this mess. Chad high-fived Tiffany. Finally, someone with authority to throw this guy out. Marcus's phone buzzed a text from an unknown number. Board meeting tomorrow, 8 a.m. Meridian acquisition complete. Congratulations, Mr. Washington. He silenced the phone. Tiffany's stream exploded with engagement. Viewers shared the link across platforms. The number VIP table drama started trending in Chicago. Someone screen-recorded the stream and posted it to TikTok with the caption, entitled Man Tries to Steal Couple's Restaurant Table. Within minutes, the video had 47,000 views. Chloe returned with Robert Vance, the general manager. He was in his mid-40s, with a sharp suit and the kind of practiced smile that could cut glass. He surveyed the scene, the couple filming from their booth, Marcus standing with his portfolio, and 30-plus diners watching like it was dinner theater. Good evening, Robert said, his tone already dismissive. I understand there's some confusion about seating arrangements. Marcus handed him the reservation confirmation. Robert glanced at it for exactly 2 seconds. Sir, our system shows this table was released due to our no-show policy. You were 3 minutes late. We operate on a very tight schedule during peak hours. 3 minutes, Marcus repeated. Industry standard is a 15-minute grace period, Robert continued smoothly. However, we make exceptions for special circumstances. These guests had a family emergency earlier and needed to be accommodated. Chad nodded solemnly, playing along. Yeah, my grandmother is in the hospital. Very serious. Tiffany bit her lip to keep from laughing, still filming. Marcus looked at Robert. Really looked at him, the manager's confident posture, his expensive watch, a Rolex Submariner, probably $15,000. His custom-tailored suit, the way he positioned himself protectively in front of the couple's table. Mr. Vance, Marcus said slowly, are you certain you want to proceed with this approach? Something in Marcus's tone made Robert pause, a subtle shift. The question held weight beyond its words, but Robert had an audience, paying customers to protect, a viral video to contain. Sir, I'm going to have to ask you to leave the premises. Security will escort you if necessary. Marcus pulled out his phone again. The lock screen showed 47 missed calls and 23 text messages, all from numbers with area codes spanning 3 time zones: Chicago, New York, Los Angeles. The notifications kept buzzing. Expecting someone important? Chad mocked. Your parole officer? Tiffany's followers ate it up. Comments flooded faster than she could read them. Drag him! Security! Security! This is giving me second-hand embarrassment. Actually, Tiffany said, addressing her camera, this is kind of sad. Like, imagine being this desperate to sit somewhere you clearly can't afford. She panned the phone toward Marcus. Sir, you know they check your bank account before they let you order, right? The nearby tables erupted in barely concealed laughter. A woman in diamonds whispered to her husband, the audacity of some people. Robert's confidence solidified. The crowd was with him. This was damage control 101. Remove the problem before it affected the restaurant's reputation. I'm calling security now, he announced loudly enough for the room to hear. Marcus glanced at his watch again. Not a cheap knockoff, but a Patek Philippe Nautilus in platinum, the kind that cost more than most people's cars. The kind that had a 2-year waiting list, even for millionaires. Nobody noticed. Chloe had already disappeared toward the security office. Chad ordered another round of drinks, settling deeper into the booth, like a king claiming his throne. Tiffany's viewer count hit 5,200 and was climbing. Number VIP table scammer. Joined number VIP table drama, trending across social platforms. But Marcus's phone kept buzzing, text after text after text. Board meeting confirmed tomorrow, 8 a.m. Meridian Chicago acquisition. MW Hospitality legal team standing by. Congratulations on the Meridian Restaurant Group purchase, Mr. Washington. Sir, the Chicago mayor's office called about your restaurant opening event. He silenced each notification without reading them fully. The countdown clock in his mind ticked louder. Two security guards emerged from the back corridor, big men in black suits, earpieces glinting under the crystal chandeliers. They moved with practiced efficiency, positioning themselves on either side of Marcus like human barriers. "Gentlemen," Robert announced loudly, "we have a guest who's refusing to comply with restaurant policy." The taller guard, name tag reading Miller, stepped closer. "Sir, we're going to need you to come with us." Tiffany's live stream exploded. Viewer count, 7,400 and climbing exponentially. Comments blurred past faster than human eyes could follow. Security called, "This is about to get real. Someone's getting arrested tonight. World star moment incoming." Chad leaned back in the booth, arms spread wide like he owned the entire restaurant. Finally, some action. "I was getting bored." "Don't hurt him too badly," Tiffany called out, phone trained on Marcus. "I need good footage for my highlight reel." The dining room had transformed into an amphitheater. Every conversation stopped. Servers froze mid-pour. Kitchen staff pressed against the service window. Even the bartender abandoned his cocktail shaking to watch the show. A woman at table 4 pulled out her phone, adding to the recording devices. "Harold, are you getting this?" she whispered to her husband. "Already posted to Facebook," Harold replied, not lowering his camera. "My golf buddies won't believe this." The maitre d' emerged from the wine cellar, drawn by the commotion. Two busboys abandoned their dish racks. A line cook peeked around the kitchen door. The entire restaurant staff had become unwilling extras in Tiffany's viral production. Marcus looked at Miller. "Officer, may I ask what policy I'm allegedly violating?" "Trespassing," Robert interjected smoothly. "Harassment of our guests. Disruption of service." "Trespassing," Marcus repeated slowly. "In a restaurant where I have a confirmed reservation?" The second guard, younger and more aggressive, shifted his weight forward. His name tag read Davis. "Sir, you need to move now." Chad couldn't resist adding fuel. "Hey, security guys, you might want to check his pockets. He looks like the type who might have borrowed something from the coat check." The accusation hung in the air like poison gas. Several diners gasped audibly. Someone muttered, "I knew it." "Did he just suggest?" a woman whispered. "Shh, I'm recording." Her companion hissed back. Tiffany's phone captured everything. Her follower notifications were going insane. The stream was being shared across TikTok, Instagram, Twitter. Number security drama joined the trending hashtags. "Wait, did that guy just accuse him of stealing?" A voice called from table 8. "Keep filming," someone else shouted. Marcus's jaw tightened slightly, the first crack in his composure. "Are you accusing me of theft?" he asked Chad directly. "I'm not accusing anything," Chad said with mock innocence. "Just saying. Fancy restaurants have expensive things lying around. Mistakes happen. Maybe you got confused about what belongs to who." The implication was crystal clear and viral. Chloe reappeared with a clipboard, official-looking documents attached. "Mr. Vance, I've documented the incident per corporate policy timestamps, witness statements, the works." She'd spent 15 minutes building a paper trail to justify their actions, covering the restaurant's liability, making Marcus look like the aggressor in writing. Multiple witnesses confirmed the guest became belligerent when asked to respect our seating policy, Chloe read from her notes. The guest refused to leave when politely asked. Guest made threatening gestures toward other customers. "Threatening gestures?" Marcus asked. "You stepped toward their table in an aggressive manner," Chloe replied smoothly. Robert nodded approvingly. "Excellent. We'll file this with Chicago PD if necessary." Davis reached for Marcus's arm. "Sir, we're leaving now. Don't make this difficult." Marcus stepped back calmly. "Before you do that, I'd like to show you something." He opened his leather portfolio. The cognac-colored calfskin caught the light, expensive but understated. Inside, white papers with official letterhead were visible. Chad laughed loudly. "What is that? Your community college diploma? Your food stamps application?" The crowd chuckled. Tiffany zoomed in with her camera. "Oh my God, he's got paperwork," she announced to her 9,200 viewers. "This keeps getting better. Sir, you know this isn't a library, right? Maybe it's his eviction notice," Chad continued, playing to his audience. "Or his bankruptcy filing. That would explain the desperation for a free meal." The insults kept coming, each one designed to humiliate, each one captured in high definition and broadcast live to thousands. Marcus pulled out a single document. Heavy stock paper, embossed header, multiple signatures at the bottom. He placed it carefully on the nearest table, table 6, where an elderly couple had been enjoying their anniversary dinner before the show started. "Miller," Marcus said quietly, "could you please read the letterhead on that document?" The security guard glanced down reluctantly. His eyes scanned the top of the page. His expression shifted subtly. "Read it out loud," Marcus suggested, "so everyone can hear." Miller's voice faltered slightly. MW Hospitality Group. Louder, please. MW Hospitality Group. Board Resolution. Meridian Chicago Acquisition. Miller's voice trailed off as understanding dawned. Robert snatched the paper, scanning it rapidly. The color drained from his face like water from a broken dam. "What's MW stand for, Robert?" Marcus asked conversationally. The restaurant fell silent except for the soft jazz playing from hidden speakers. Even Tiffany's live stream comments paused as viewers sensed something shifting. Robert's hands trembled slightly as he held the document. The acquisition papers, signed 3 weeks ago. Purchase price, $47 million. New owner, Marcus Washington, majority shareholder of MW Hospitality Group. Robert, Marcus prompted again. "MW means what, exactly?" Chad grew impatient. "What's the holdup? Throw this loser out already." Tiffany aimed her camera at the document Robert was holding. "What's that paper supposed to prove? That he's got a good printer? Anyone can fake documents these days," Chad added dismissively. "I could print something like that in 5 minutes." Marcus reached into his portfolio again. This time he pulled out a second document, then a third, then a fourth. Each one official, each one damning. Corporate tax documents showing MW Hospitality Group's annual revenue, $2.3 billion. Stock certificates proving Marcus Washington owned 78% of company shares. A business license listing him as CEO and primary owner. Insurance documents naming him as the policyholder for 847 restaurant locations across North America. "Marcus Washington," he said quietly. "MW. I believe that clears up any confusion about the letterhead." Miller stepped back involuntarily. Davis lost his aggressive posture entirely. Chloe's clipboard clattered to the floor, but Marcus wasn't finished. "This document," he continued, lifting the acquisition papers, "shows I purchased Meridian Chicago 3 weeks ago for $47 million cash." He pulled out another paper. "This one shows I also acquired the entire Meridian Restaurant Group 23 locations. Total purchase price, $847 million. The numbers hit the room like physical blows. $847 million. Not thousands, not hundreds of thousands. Nearly $1 billion. Tiffany's live stream erupted. "Wait, what? Is this real? Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Plot twist of the century." Her viewer count hit 14,800 and was climbing. Marcus looked directly at Chad, who was still sprawled across the VIP booth. "So, when you say possession is 9/10 of the law, you're absolutely right. I possess this table. I possess this restaurant. I possess this building." Chad's smirk finally died. "I possess the entire block." The silence stretched like a taut wire, 30 seconds of absolute quiet except for the jazz music, which suddenly seemed absurdly cheerful. Then Marcus delivered the final blow. "Which brings us to an interesting question." His voice remained calm, almost conversational. "What do you suppose happens when someone tries to steal a table from the person who owns everything they can see?" Time, 9:04 p.m. The silence stretched across Meridian like ice cracking under pressure. Every face in the restaurant turned toward Marcus, waiting for his next move. Tiffany's live stream viewer count hit 16,900. The comment section moved too fast to read. Chad shifted uncomfortably in the booth. For the first time tonight, his confidence wavered. "Look, whatever game you're playing with fake papers." "Robert," Marcus interrupted quietly, "would you please call your corporate office? Ask them who purchased this restaurant 3 weeks ago." Robert's face had gone gray. The acquisition papers in his hands felt suddenly heavy, like evidence at a crime scene. "Mr. Washington, we had no idea." "No idea about what?" Marcus asked. "That you were. That you are the owner," Robert finished. "The person who signs your paychecks. The one who approved your salary increase last month." Robert's knees nearly buckled. The salary increase. The memo that came from corporate headquarters. The mysterious new owner they'd all heard whispers about but never met. MW Hospitality Group, Marcus Washington. It hit him like a freight train. Miller slowly backed away from Marcus, hands raised apologetically. "Sir, if we had known." "If you had known what?" Marcus's voice remained calm, but steel had entered his tone. If you had known I was wealthy, would you have treated me differently? Is that how service works here? Davis stammered. No, sir. That's not. We treat all guests. The same way you treated me tonight? Marcus gestured toward the booth where Chad and Tiffany sat frozen. By assuming I was a criminal? By threatening to arrest me for requesting my own table? Chloe dropped her clipboard entirely. The sound of it hitting the marble echoed through the silent restaurant like a gunshot. Tiffany's phone trembled in her hands. Her live stream had exploded across social media. The comments were no longer mocking Marcus. They were questioning everything they'd just witnessed. Wait, is he actually the owner? Holy, this just got real. Did we just watch discrimination live? This is about to go viral for all the wrong reasons. Chad finally found his voice. Okay, look, if you really are who you say you are, then this is just a big misunderstanding. Misunderstanding? Marcus pulled out his phone. The missed calls and texts were still flooding in. He scrolled through them deliberately, reading aloud. Congratulations on the Meridian acquisition, Mr. Washington. The board is excited about your vision for Chicago dining. Another text. MW Hospitality legal team standing by for any issues during transition period. Another. Sir, the mayor's office called about scheduling your restaurant opening ceremony. He looked up at Chad. Which part is the misunderstanding? The part where you called me street trash, or the part where you ripped up my reservation for my own table? The color drained from Chad's face like someone had pulled a plug. Marcus continued reading. Financial Times wants to interview you about the $847 million Meridian Restaurant Group acquisition. Scheduling for next week. $847 million. The number hung in the air like a physical presence. Tiffany's viewer count was approaching 20,000. Someone had screen recorded her entire stream and posted it to TikTok with the caption, "Couple accidentally discriminates against billionaire restaurant owner." The TikTok already had 127,000 views and was climbing. Marcus walked slowly toward the VIP booth. Chad and Tiffany pressed themselves against the back of the banquette, as if trying to disappear into the leather. You asked me what I was going to do, Marcus said quietly. Call my lawyer? Well, I don't need to. My legal team is MW Hospitality Group's legal team. 17 attorneys on retainer. He pulled out another document from his portfolio. This is my personal net worth statement, required for the acquisition loan. Would you like me to read the number? No, Chad whispered. Marcus read it anyway. $2.7 billion in verified assets. The restaurant was so quiet you could hear the ice melting in abandoned cocktails. Here's what's going to happen, Marcus continued, his voice never rising above a conversational level. You're going to stand up. You're going to walk out of my restaurant, and you're never coming back. Wait, Tiffany said, her live stream still running. This is all being recorded. We can work this out. Yes, it is being recorded, Marcus agreed. By you, on your own social media, broadcasting your discrimination to 20,000 people and counting. He pulled out his own phone and opened it to a contact list. Names scrolled past: Chicago Tribune, CNN, NBC, Chicago, Fox News. I have contacts at every major news outlet in Chicago. They'll be very interested in this story. Viral video of discrimination at high-end restaurant. It has everything they love. Social media, wealthy defendants, clear evidence. Chad's mouth opened and closed like a fish out of water. But here's what I'm going to do instead, Marcus said. I'm going to let your own video speak for itself. No press calls, no interviews. Just your live stream, showing exactly who you are when you think no one important is watching. Tiffany's hand shook as she held her phone. The live stream that was supposed to be entertainment had become evidence. Evidence that would follow them forever. Mr. Washington, Robert began desperately. Please, let me explain. Robert, you're suspended pending a full investigation. Chloe, you're terminated. Immediately. Security. Marcus looked at Miller and Davis. You'll both complete bias training within 48 hours or find new employment. He turned back to Chad and Tiffany. As for you two, you're banned from all 847 megawatts hospitality locations worldwide. Your names and photos will be distributed to every manager by tomorrow morning. Chad's mouth moved soundlessly. Tiffany's live stream viewers were posting screenshots, sharing the moment across every social platform. Their faces were already becoming memes. Marcus reached into his jacket pocket and pulled out his black American Express Centurion card. The metal caught the light, unmistakably real, impossibly exclusive. This card requires $350,000 in annual spending just to qualify, he said conversationally. I use it to pay my weekly restaurant bills. He placed it on the table next to the acquisition papers. Now, Marcus said, looking directly at Chad, would you please remove yourself from my table? I have a dinner reservation to keep. The power in the room had shifted completely. The man they'd dismissed as nobody controlled everything they could see. The table they'd stolen belonged to him. The restaurant they'd claimed superiority in was his property. The security guards who'd been called to remove him now stood at attention, awaiting his orders. The manager who'd threatened to call the police was begging for mercy. The couple who'd humiliated him were cornered in his booth, facing consequences they never imagined possible. Tiffany's live stream had documented their downfall in real time, broadcast to a growing audience that was sharing their disgrace across the internet. And Marcus Washington stood calmly in the center of it all, having revealed his power not through shouting or threats, but through simple, undeniable proof. The quiet billionaire had spoken, and everyone was listening. Marcus pulled out his phone and speed-dialed a number. The restaurant remained frozen as he waited for an answer. Sarah, it's Marcus. Yes, I know it's Friday night. We have a situation at Meridian Chicago that requires immediate board attention. He put the call on speaker. A woman's professional voice filled the silence. Good evening, Mr. Washington. This is Sarah Evans, MW Hospitality Group's Chief Operating Officer. How can we assist? Every word carried corporate authority. Robert's face went white. Evans was a name he recognized from quarterly reports. His boss's boss. Sarah, I'm standing in Meridian, Chicago, where I've just experienced discrimination from staff and customers. I need you to access our acquisition documents and employee protocols. Accessing now, sir. Our records show you purchased Meridian Chicago on September 10th for $47 million cash. Full acquisition of the Meridian Restaurant Group completed September 15th for $847 million total. The numbers hit the room like physical blows. Tiffany's live stream erupted with comments. $847 million? This man bought a whole restaurant chain? I can't even afford Chipotle. Chad tried one last desperate move. Look, Mr. Washington, sir, we didn't know. Stop. Marcus's voice cut through the air like a blade. Sarah, please pull up our company discrimination policy. Section 4, subsection C. Retrieved, sir. Section 4C states, any employee found guilty of discriminatory behavior toward customers based on race, appearance, or perceived economic status faces immediate termination without severance. Zero tolerance policy effective company-wide. Robert's legs nearly gave out. No severance meant losing his $95,000 annual salary, his health benefits, his retirement contributions, everything. And our customer behavior standards? Marcus continued. Section 12 amperes? Customers engaging in discriminatory behavior toward other guests or staff will be permanently banned from all MW hospitality properties. Legal action may be pursued for harassment or defamation. Marcus looked directly at Chad and Tiffany. Legal action. That's interesting phrasing. He scrolled through his phone to a law firm contact. Morrison and Associates, corporate litigation specialists. They handle all MW hospitality legal matters. The mention of lawyers sent another wave of panic through the couple. Tiffany's hand shook as she held her phone. Her live stream had hit 25,000 viewers. Someone in the comments posted, I found her Instagram at Tiffany Lifestyle Chicago. Let's see how this ages. Sarah, Marcus continued, please access tonight's security footage. Every MW property has 24/7 surveillance. Accessing Meridian Chicago cameras now, sir. Multiple angles available. High-definition recording from 8:45 p.m. Chloe had gone pale. The security footage would show everything. Her refusing service, her stepping on Marcus's reservation, her building a false paper trail. I want that footage preserved as evidence, Marcus said. And I want a complete audit of tonight's staff behavior. Every employee who participated in or witnessed discrimination without reporting it. The kitchen staff who'd been watching through the service window suddenly found other places to be. Servers scattered. The busboys melted back into the shadows. Marcus pulled out another document from his portfolio. Corporate Policy Manual, MW Hospitality Group. 847 pages thick. Page 247, he read aloud. Employee Code of Conduct. All staff members are required to treat every guest with dignity and respect, regardless of appearance, dress, race, or perceived social status. Failure to comply results in immediate dismissal and potential legal liability. He looked at the remaining restaurant staff. How many of you witnessed what happened tonight and did nothing? Silence. Page 251. Witness Responsibility Clause. Employees who observe discriminatory behavior and fail to report or intervene may be held equally accountable. A server in the corner raised her hand tentatively. Mr. Washington, sir. I wanted to say something, but Chloe is my supervisor. What's your name? Marcus asked. Maria Garcia. See. Maria, you're promoted to interim front of house manager. Your first assignment is documenting tonight's incident for HR. Maria's eyes widened. From server to management in one moment of honesty. Marcus's phone buzzed with an incoming text. He glanced at it, then smiled slightly. Ah, the mayor's office. They've seen the live stream. Apparently, when you discriminate against someone on a viral video, it affects the city's reputation, too. He showed the text to the room. Mayor Lightfoot's office requests an immediate meeting Monday, a.m., regarding restaurant industry discrimination protocols. Tiffany's viewer count kept climbing. 28,000. The comments section had turned into a real-time investigation. Found Chad's LinkedIn. He works at Keeler Financial. Tiffany's a lifestyle influencer with 50 Kelvin's followers, screen recording everything for evidence. This is going to destroy their careers. Marcus dialed another number. This is Marcus Washington, MW Hospitality Group. I need you to draft a press release. Title: MW Hospitality Group addresses discrimination incident at Chicago location. He paused, looking around the room. Content: following a documented discrimination incident at our Meridian Chicago location, MW Hospitality Group is implementing enhanced anti-bias training across all 847 properties. Zero-tolerance policies will be strictly enforced. We apologize to our guest who was mistreated and commit to ensuring this never happens again. The PR machine was already moving. Within hours, the story would be controlled, managed, and turned into a positive narrative about corporate responsibility. Sarah, Marcus spoke into his phone again. Connect me with our head of human resources. Connecting now, sir. Another voice joined the call. This is Jennifer Hayes, MW Hospitality HR Director. Mr. Washington, I've been monitoring the situation via security feed. We have protocols in place for exactly this scenario. Excellent. Jennifer, I want full employee files on Robert Vance and Chloe, background checks, performance reviews, any previous complaints. Accessing now, sir. Robert Vance, 8 years with the company. 2 previous customer complaints regarding attitude towards certain demographics. Chloe, 3 years. 1 formal warning for inappropriate comments about guest appearance. The pattern was there. This wasn't isolated behavior. It was systemic prejudice that had been ignored. Chad finally spoke, his voice barely a whisper. What do you want from us? Marcus considered the question. I want you to understand the consequences. Your live stream has been screen recorded and shared across social media. Your faces are now permanently associated with discrimination. Your employers will likely see this video. Your friends, your families, your colleagues, they'll all know exactly who you are. He pulled out his Centurion card again, holding it up to catch the light. This card gives me access to exclusive events, private clubs, and high-end restaurants across the globe. Places you'll never see. But more importantly, it represents something you clearly don't understand, that you never know who you're talking to. Tiffany's phone captured every word. Her own evidence was convicting her. Sarah, Marcus continued, I want a comprehensive report on tonight's incident, full documentation, and I want new protocols implemented immediately. Understood, sir. What specific changes would you like? Marcus looked around Meridian's dining room. Every guest was watching. Every server was listening. Every moment was being recorded. First, mandatory bias training for all customer-facing staff. Monthly workshops, not annual. Second, customer feedback systems with direct lines to corporate for discrimination reports. Third, mystery shopper programs to test our equity standards. He paused, ensuring everyone heard the next part. Fourth, any location that fails our bias audits will be closed, pending retraining. We'll sacrifice short-term profits for long-term integrity. The financial implications hit Robert like a sledgehammer. Closing locations meant lost revenue, unemployment for staff, and failed quarterly targets. His career in hospitality was over. Fifth, I want diversity consultants hired for each region. Sixth, Customer service reviews are tied directly to bias metrics. Seventh, a hotline that bypasses local management and goes straight to corporate. Each directive added another layer of accountability. The entire system was being rebuilt in real time. Jennifer, Marcus addressed the HR director, effective immediately. I want bias incident reports included in quarterly board presentations. Make discrimination prevention a key performance indicator. Understood, sir. We'll have new protocols distributed to all 847 locations by Monday morning. Marcus walked slowly toward the VIP booth where Chad and Tiffany still sat, paralyzed by the enormity of their situation. You have 60 seconds to vacate my table, he said quietly. Security will escort you to the street. Your ride-share apps are probably already flagging you based on viral recognition. You might want to call a friend. He checked his watch. 55 seconds. Chad scrambled out of the booth like it was on fire. Tiffany fumbled to end her live stream, but it was too late. The damage was already screenshotted, recorded, and shared beyond recall. Mr. Washington, Robert tried one final plea. My family depends on this job, my mortgage, my children's school. Your family will survive your poor judgment, Marcus replied. The question is whether you'll learn from it. Report to corporate Monday morning for your termination interview. HR will explain your options. As Chad and Tiffany hurried toward the exit, Marcus called after them. Oh, and Tiffany? You might want to delete your social media accounts. The internet has a very long memory. The couple disappeared into the Chicago night. Their humiliation broadcast live to 31,000 viewers and saved forever in the digital cloud. Marcus finally sat down at his table. His table, in his restaurant, in his building. He opened the menu calmly, as if nothing had happened. I'll have the Wagyu beef, he told Maria, who approached nervously. Medium rare, and a bottle of your 2015 Bordeaux. The quiet billionaire was ready for dinner. Time, 9:18 p.m. Monday morning, 8:47 a.m., MW Hospitality Group headquarters, downtown Chicago. Robert Vance sat in the sterile conference room, hands trembling as he faced the termination board. Jennifer Hayes, HR director, read from his file with clinical precision. 8 years of employment, 2 previous discrimination complaints. Friday night's incident represents a pattern of behavior inconsistent with company values. Across town, Chloe cleaned out her apartment. The viral video had cost her everything. Job, apartment lease, the landlord saw the footage, even her relationship. Her boyfriend's text was brutal. Can't be with someone who treats people like that. The internet had spoken. Meridian discrimination was trending nationally. But the real changes were happening systematically. Marcus stood in the Meridian Chicago dining room at 9:15 a.m., watching contractors install new equipment, digital feedback stations at every table, QR codes linking directly to corporate discrimination reporting, cameras with advanced audio recording capabilities. Mr. Washington, Maria Garcia approached nervously. 3 days as interim manager had aged her visibly. The new bias training consultant is here. Dr. Aisha Williams entered Harvard PhD in social psychology, a consultant for Fortune 500 companies. Her resume included transforming corporate cultures at Amazon, Apple, and Goldman Sachs. Mr. Washington, I've reviewed Friday's footage. What happened here represents institutional failure, not just individual prejudice. Marcus nodded. Explain. Your staff had no protocols for bias intervention, no training on recognizing discrimination, no safe reporting mechanisms. Chloe and Robert weren't outliers. They were products of a system that never taught them better. She pulled out a tablet showing data analytics. I've surveyed your 847 locations. 63% of managers admit to making appearance-based seating decisions. 47% report witnessing discrimination, but staying silent. The numbers painted a picture Marcus couldn't ignore. Friday night wasn't an anomaly, it was inevitable. What's your recommendation? Complete cultural overhaul, not just training transformation. Within hours, Dr. Williams had teams deployed across MW hospitality properties. Every location would undergo the same intensive reformation. Tuesday, 2:30 p.m. Keeler Financial Services, downtown Chicago. Chad Thompson sat across from his CEO, Patricia Cole. Between them lay printed screenshots from Tiffany's live stream, 47 pages of evidence. Our clients saw this, Patricia said coldly. Fortune, 500 companies, pension funds, They're asking if Keeler Financial employs people who discriminate based on race. Chad's mouth went dry. Patricia, I was having drinks. It was a misunderstanding. A misunderstanding? She slid another document across the table. This is a formal complaint from the Illinois Department of Human Rights. They're investigating whether your public behavior reflects Keeler's internal practices. The complaint had teeth. State investigators would audit Keeler's hiring, promotion, and client service records, looking for patterns of discrimination. We're terminating your employment, effective immediately. Security will escort you out. Chad's $187,000 salary vanished with 8 words. Across town, Tiffany stared at her phone. Her Instagram followers had plummeted from 50,000 to 12,000 inches 4 days. Brands were canceling sponsorship deals. Her lifestyle influencer career was over. But the real consequences were deeper. Her apartment building's management company had sent eviction papers. Creating public disturbances that reflect poorly on property reputation violated her lease agreement. Her parents in Phoenix wouldn't take her calls. Her college sorority sisters had removed her from group chats. The viral video had destroyed not just her career, but her entire social network. Wednesday, 10 a.m., Chicago City Hall. Mayor Lori Lightfoot faced a room full of restaurant industry leaders. The Meridian incident had sparked citywide conversations about discrimination in hospitality. We're implementing new municipal requirements, she announced. All restaurants with liquor licenses must complete annual bias training. Random compliance inspections will be conducted. Violations result in license suspension. The policy would affect 2,847 Chicago establishments. Marcus's viral moment had created legislative change. Thursday, 6 p.m., Meridian, Chicago reopening. The restaurant looked identical but felt completely transformed. Dr. Williams had spent 3 days retraining every employee. New protocols were posted visibly. Dignity First policy. Every guest receives identical service, regardless of appearance, dress, race, or perceived status. Discrimination reports go directly to ownership. Witnesses have a duty to intervene. Marcus watched the evening service from table 7, his table. Maria moved confidently as head manager, implementing the new systems. Servers approached every guest with identical energy. Kitchen staff had been trained on respectful customer interaction. The feedback stations buzzed with activity. Guests could rate their experience on bias. Free service with anonymous, direct lines to corporate. A young black couple entered, dressed casually in jeans and sneakers. The host smiled genuinely, checking them in without judgment. They were seated at a prime window table. Marcus smiled. Progress. Friday evening. Exactly 1 week later. Tiffany's viral live stream had been viewed 2.3 million times across platforms. Screen recordings existed on YouTube, TikTok, Twitter, Instagram. Her face was permanently associated with discrimination. But something unexpected had emerged from the digital wreckage. Comment sections filled with similar stories. Thousands of people sharing their own experiences with restaurant discrimination. The video had sparked national conversations about bias in service industries. CNN featured the story. Viral video leads to hospitality industry reform. The Today Show interviewed Dr. Williams about unconscious bias in customer service. Harvard Business School added the incident to their ethics curriculum. Marcus's phone buzzed constantly with interview requests, speaking opportunities, consulting offers. His quiet response to discrimination had become a case study in corporate leadership, but he declined most requests. The real work was happening in his restaurants. Saturday morning, MW Hospitality Group quarterly review. Sarah Evans presented transformation data to the board. Discrimination complaints are down 94% across all properties. Customer satisfaction up 37%. Employee retention increased 41%. The numbers told the story. Treating people with dignity wasn't just morally right, it was profitable. Mystery shopper audits show dramatic improvement, Sarah continued. Bias incidents decreased from 47% to 3% of tested interactions. Marcus had proven something revolutionary. Calling out discrimination and implementing systematic change could transform entire industries. 6 months later, Robert Vance worked as a night manager at a small diner in suburban Milwaukee. The demotion hurt, but he'd completed bias training voluntarily, slowly rebuilding his reputation. Chloe had moved to Portland, working retail while taking community college courses in social work. The viral shame had forced deep self-reflection. Chad Thompson struggled with unemployment. His LinkedIn showed 6 months of rejection letters. The viral video appeared in every background check. Tiffany had started a nonprofit focused on digital literacy and social media responsibility, using her own viral destruction to teach others about online consequences. But the real legacy was institutional. MW Hospitality Group's Dignity First protocol had been adopted by 127 other restaurant chains. State laws requiring bias training passed in Illinois, California, and New York. Dr. Williams had built a consulting empire, transforming corporate cultures nationwide. Marcus Washington remained quiet about his role. No book deals, no speaking tours, just systematic change implemented through economic leverage and moral clarity. The man who'd been called street trash had revolutionized an industry, one viral video at a time. Present day, Meridian, Chicago, Table 7. Marcus finished his weekly dinner, reviewing reports on his tablet. Discrimination complaints across all MW properties, 0 this month. Customer satisfaction scores, all-time highs. Employee morale surveys, unprecedented positivity. He paid his bill and left a generous tip for Maria, who'd transformed from a nervous server into a confident leader. Walking toward the exit, Marcus paused at the memorial plaque Dr. Williams had insisted on installing. Dignity first. In memory of every person who was judged by appearance rather than character, and in commitment to ensuring it never happens again. The quiet billionaire stepped into the Chicago night, having proved that real power lies not in wealth or status, but in using privilege to create justice. The revolution had been live-streamed, and everyone was watching. 2 years later, Marcus Washington received a letter. The envelope bore no return address, just careful handwriting that seemed familiar. Inside was a single page from Chloe. Mr. Washington, I graduated from social work school yesterday. I work with hospitality workers now, teaching bias awareness. I'll spend my life making sure what I did to you never happens to anyone else. Thank you for showing me that consequences can become catalysts for change. Marcus set the letter aside, smiling quietly. Redemption was possible, even for those who'd fallen furthest. His phone buzzed with the quarterly report. MW Hospitality Group had just been named Most Inclusive Restaurant Chain by the National Restaurant Association. 2 years of systematic change had created industry leadership. But the real victory was simpler. Last week, a homeless veteran had entered Meridian, Chicago, hoping to use the restroom. Instead of being turned away, Maria seated him at table 12, offered him a free meal, and connected him with social services. The man cried, saying it was the first time anyone had treated him with dignity in months. That moment, captured by security cameras but never publicized, represented everything Marcus had fought for. Dignity without conditions, respect without prerequisites. The ripple effects continued expanding. Harvard Business School now taught the Meridian model as required curriculum. Dr. Williams had consulted for hundreds of companies beyond restaurants. The Dignity First protocol existed in hotels, retail stores, banks, and hospitals across America. 3 states had passed Marcus Washington laws requiring bias training in customer service industries. Discrimination complaints in hospitality dropped 73% nationwide. But perhaps most importantly, a generation of young workers had learned that treating everyone with respect wasn't just moral. It was profitable. Marcus thought about that Friday night 2 years ago being called street trash, watching his reservation torn apart, standing surrounded by people who judged him unworthy. He could have walked away, filed lawsuits, used his wealth to destroy their careers more completely. Instead, he'd chosen systematic change over personal revenge, education over humiliation, building bridges instead of burning them down. The quiet billionaire had learned something powerful. True revolution happens not through anger or violence, but through persistent, principled action through using privilege to lift others up rather than tear opponents down. Tiffany's viral live stream, intended to mock him, had become a teaching tool viewed by millions. Her moment of cruelty had created decades of compassion. Chad's discrimination had sparked laws protecting countless future customers. Chloe's bias had led to her becoming an advocate for respect and dignity. Robert's termination had opened space for Maria's leadership. Even destruction could become construction if channeled correctly. Marcus Washington had proven that sometimes the most powerful response to hate is not hate in return, but the patient work of building a better world. Remember, you never know who you're talking to, but more importantly, it shouldn't matter. Everyone deserves dignity. Every person, every time. Share your story. What moment made you realize the power of quiet dignity over loud anger? Comment below. How can we create more accountability for discrimination in public spaces? Tag someone who shows strength through grace under pressure. Subscribe to Blacktail Stories for more narratives of resilience, justice, and the transformative power of principled leadership.